Hello. So today I'm going to be doing a little video on it's a little early to do this video, but do feel like after looking through the feedback on the World of Warships Legends main Discord that what I want to say is that there are really some things that the dev team need to honestly introduce into the game just so that way more of the player base is happy, because I do feel like Um, from the beginning of the update, I think what Mines was the um end of the year update. What came at the beginning of the year, and then it ended with Marlboro and Marco Polo. I do feel like, I mean, get me wrong, there was some bad and good updates for the year, but what I want to go through is the other reason why I'm on here is because we are going to be going through some of the tech trees that PC has on here, and I'm going to be saying what honestly I think needs to happen uh for honestly the Legends player base to uh get a more positive atmosphere, as well as some changes I feel like need to happen. So first we'll start off with the changes. I'd say probably one of the biggest things is probably training rooms. A lot of people are really wanting training rooms to come to the game. It's been a highly requested feature, but so far we have a predicted time frame and that is quarter 1 of the next year. So we're talking February going into March time frame. Hopefully even sooner. All I know is that we could expect it between the next update coming out January 2023 and March 2023. That's what I'm thinking. Some other things. I do feel like that there are some ships in the game that do need some buffs and nerfs. Honestly, I personally agree that Tier 8 is honestly one of those tiers that it is necessary. However, Legendary tier is still, in my opinion, pretty strong on where it is, because Yamato is still a powerhouse at the tier. Um, Honestly, the destroyer situation's fine. I think it's just getting battleships and cruisers to balance out what's already there, because HE spammers and hard hitting battleships are what's kind of plaguing legendary tier. There's still not too many legendary tier ships to go through. But I do want to say that I think there is a few ships here that actually might balance out. First off, for the Yamato situation, going over to PC's ships of the USS of the uh Soviet Union, I do feel like that adding Kremlin to the game, or even Slava, might be a very good addition to the game, just because I think that it actually might bring some balance to the game, because if I'm right, is a very strong ship to go up against Yamato. It's kind of like the Soyuz in a way. I'm pretty sure Kremlin um is the next ship after Soyuz. I don't play PC, so I don't really know too much in that. As for balancing out HE spammers, I honestly do not know. No, just no, just go. Sorry, that was my little brother. He wanted to come to my room to talk to me. Um, let's just ignore that. But honestly, for cruisers, I think it's more of a situation. I know one CC, where are you, AA Ron, said that it could honestly use more heavy cruisers. Um, and I honestly don't know what heavy cruisers those could be. I mean, there is probably some with US, Japan, Germany. I think Hindenburg would be a great option. just less HE prevalent cruisers, and that's another thing I wanted to discuss about the HE slash will to rebuild issue. Now, it's a kind of a back and forth argument. A lot of players are saying that HE is a very cancerous thing in the game and it needs to be adjusted. And then on the other side, you have people saying that will to rebuild needs to be fixed because it is overpowered. And they kind of combat each other in the way that will to rebuild exists in the game because HE spam is just way too prevalent. It's one of the only skills that can really fight against it alongside fight fire with fire. And then HE spam exists so that way they can whittle down the battleships that do use will to rebuild. It's kind of a back and forth argument. I'm really hoping that next year they do say that they're gonna fix this like immediately and that they release both to fix at the same time so that way you don't have one community saying where's this or the other saying where's that. That way there's an actual balance to where both sides are happy, but then again, it's not possible to get people to agree on one thing, but I think most people can agree that there needs to be some kind of um, change to HE, and there needs to be some kind of change to Will to Rebuild. What I've seen from people from Will to Rebuild is to make it to where it repairs the saturation damage on the superstructure, I think, and then for HE, you just reduce the range of most of the HE spamming cruisers, and I honestly think the definition of HE spamming cruisers is cruisers that can spam HE within at least, at most, 10 seconds or less. Maybe a little less than that. I'd say, like, cruisers like Atlanta, Flint, and so, like, some of the Japanese cruisers, it's their gimmick and all, but I do feel like the range could get tweaked just a little bit on them. And then, um, going away from that, I think that clans is also another feature. I've heard clans and trading rooms being combined as a feature that you add to the game. I do feel like we're going to get trading rooms first before we get clans because um I think clans might be a little more of a complicated um uh more of a complicated more of a complicated thing to add than training rooms because training rooms you can immediately add something in, but on the other hand with clans I think there's actually a more complex system than that. um and then as for what I want to see ships wise, I do feel like for the UK they could honestly use heavy cruisers because we haven't gotten heavy cruisers since I want to say February or March of 2020 with the Tech Tree heavy cruisers. I do feel like not the French, the Russians could use a legendary tier battleship. Japanese could use a legendary cruiser. Italy could use a legendary uh Bureau project. And then for tier 8s, of course, the alt tech trees for the US, Japan, USSR, UK, and of course, we need the Italians. And for tech trees, I do feel like they could honestly push out the Italian destroyers. I mean, there is something in the game regarding most gunboat destroyer commanders where apparently the mortar skill does have an SAP damage modifier on it, which could mean that the Italian destroyers are coming soon because on PC the Italian destroyers have an SAP main battery from what I've heard. Um for other tech trees, I think we honestly could see the German destroyer split tech tree as well as the uh British battle cruisers. come into play. As for the other tech trees like the Pan-European cruisers or something like that, um not the Pan-European cruisers, um as for like the new nations like Pan American, Netherlands, and Spain, they might introduce like a ship from there. But I don't think we'll get it that early. Um I do feel like that we won't see the light cruisers and the other cruisers for French and Japan just yet. It might be just a little too early, but then again, we got the German battle cruisers like a few months after that PC got them. Otherwise, I think I've covered mostly everything that I think needs to happen next year for World of Warships Legends. Otherwise, that's there's not much else I can list off that I would think is important.